Welcome to the No Direction Podcast, where we say whatever we want and invite guests who do the same. We're here to prove that conversations can be raw, real, and sometimes downright hilarious, even when we don't see eye to eye. So buckle up, grab a drink, and let's dive into the unfiltered world of opinions and insights. It's going to be a bumpy, profanity-laden ride.
Is this good enough? How about now?
How does it sound to you? So it was hard for me because when I was recording with Lloyd, we both sounded really great. And then when I went to go edit, all of my audio was real quiet, as if we were both using his mic. It's almost what it sounded like.
I would agree.
Yeah, the whole thing. It was devastating because I'm not
I'm not a sound editor. So
I'm not a sound editor. I don't know anything about audio. I'm just playing with the thing. So I came back to my recording studio last night, and she shared with me some things that are actually in here that change those things. And I don't think anybody's recorded in here between now and then, but maybe I should check it. I don't know. Here. Okay. Well, welcome to my guest, Alta Ulrich, who is a friend of mine who also happens to be a massage therapist and an awesome one at that. And I brought her on, and we weren't quite sure what we were going to talk about, but we thought that it might be funny to talk about things as a child that we were frightened of or thought would happen more often in our lives that either we've never seen before or it's one of those kind of wives' tales things. But what's interesting is some of these things we actually ran drills on in school. So, for instance, stop, drop, and roll. I thought during my entire childhood that at some point as an adult or as a child that I would catch on fire. Like we did the drills regularly. Did you do them regularly?
Yes.
It's like,
I did.
What do you do if you have this kind of fire on you? Can you roll up in a rug? Drop on the ground and cover your friend up with a blanket or something and snuff out the fire.
Yeah, I thought I'd be much more exposed to open flame than I actually am.
Yeah. Well, and then all children's pajamas are fire retardant.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're also supposed to fit snug, and they have that warning label on them that says fire retardant, do not play around the fire.
Yeah, they must have created those in the 1800s when we were lighting our homes with flame.
Right, yeah, with candles and flames. And
then there's always the special warning for California as well.
Right, yeah, those poor California people are always exposed to all kinds of chemicals that the rest of the world clearly
is not.
Is not or doesn't care about. California is special. Yeah,
well,
so I know you brought a list.
I did bring a list. I thought just in case there was a moment where we stopped talking, which has never happened when we're in the same room. But just in case we stop talking, I have a list.
So what is your number one thing that as a child that you were somewhat frightened of that would happen that
I was very
never
terrified
happened?
Of quicksand. Terrified that if like baseball fields with sand or the beach, I was like, there is going to be I didn't know what sinkholes were, but I was sure that there would be at some point where I would sink into something and not be able to get out. And I think, maybe it's because I watched Princess Bride. I don't know. But I was like, I was so terrified I was going to run into quicksand at some point where I would throw rocks and sand just to check.
Yeah. I would do my toe on it, like I wonder if that's quicksand, and you're right. It's like so many movies told you, oh hey,
you're gonna sink.
You're gonna sink one day. You're gonna be walking unsuspectedly through the forest, and all of a sudden you're gonna just drop into quicksand. And from what I understand about quicksand is, it could get real sticky, and you'll start sinking it, but it isn't like instant, and it's also not this pit of despair like it is in the Never-Ending Story. It's like the sadder you get, the more you sink into it, and then you'll never get out. You have to think happy thoughts.
Think happy thoughts. It's like flying in
like Peter Pan.
Think happy thoughts to get out of your
all
quicksand.
Intertwined, right?
Yeah.
And all quicksand is somehow surrounded by a low-hanging branch. Or
how would you get out?
Or
otherwise?
a vine of some sort. Yeah, and they taught you lay on your back to get out of quicksand. I'm sure there's places there is quicksand.
I'm sure there is, but I don't think
exists,
it's in
right?
North
In
America.
real life? Quicksand.
I almost was like, do I need to bring my laptop out so we can research some of these things as we go?
We can look at it. I don't even know.
Actually exists. I
don't know.
I can't imagine. I know there are sinkholes. I know that those do open up occasionally. Roads get washed out. Things like that happen. But it's just not a frequent occurrence or anything I really have to worry about.
Right. Well, and then you see them during mass flooding or during hurricane events and things like that where sinkholes occur and cars fall in it or houses fall in it and things. But again, you go back to just walking down the street, chances of a sinkhole happening while you're walking on the sidewalk is
Something to actually be afraid of.
very small.
A spider web on the face. That happens all the time.
Yeah. Why didn't they teach us about that?
They didn't ever teach you how to protect. You let the tall person go first. That's how you do that.
Always.
Always.
Yeah, the tall, wide person
Yeah, they
always
go
walks first.
That's what they should have warned us about was spider webs on the face.
And that I truly believe that the tall person should go first in a haunted house also because they make a really good shield. And so when you're walking through a haunted house, usually there's no spider webs that are coming across. But when the scary things come out, you can kind of peek around the tall person and kind of get a heads up that, oh, this is happening. So if you're tall, you automatically have to be the brave one in the group. So that is your assignment.
That's the assignment.
And if you show up and you have not done your homework and you failed and nobody gets to go in the haunted house.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other one, that, as an avid swimmer, I was in swim team my whole life, was you can't eat and then get in the pool. You'll drown.
Right, because you'll get like a life-threatening side ache or
like
a cramp in your leg or whatever, and all of a sudden you'd sink to the bottom and die.
To the bottom. Just drown.
Right. And how long? You had to wait, what, 30? For us, it was 30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes or an hour, or you couldn't get in the pool. And I was like, that's really weird because I worked at a pool, and we would feed children, and they would get back in the pool.
Yeah, we get snacks all the time at the pool.
The popcorn and those weird ropey licorice things.
I wonder where that came from. I didn't do any research into where these things actually came from. It was just things that we grew up with.
Well,
Don't swim after you eat.
Well, I've looked it up. There is no reason. You could potentially get a side ache. That's true from physical activity with a full stomach.
Well, I get them when I run, so I don't eat much before I go out for a run because I always get a side ache.
But these kids getting back in the pool are just there to splash around. They're not going. They're not
swimming laps.
They're not on a long distance swim across open water.
I think it's from Cuba, not to
yeah,
Cuba,
well, you would want to leave.
Yes, leave Cuba. Yeah, hopefully get rescued not that far away from shore. I'm thinking maybe.
I did read an article recently.
Meters.
Someone did swim in that channel.
Was it the 65-year-old lady?
There was an older woman.
When she got to shore, because it was an event that she did, so it wasn't like she was escaping something. She had the swim cap on, and it was an event, right?
No, she was like she was trying to is a world record.
Okay. Well, when she got on shore, she looked like the most confused person I've ever seen.
Yeah, she's dehydrated. She's been in salt water for I can't remember how long they said it took her.
How many miles was it again? Oh, now you're going to Google it.
Hold on.
Yeah. Well, when I remember seeing the video all over TikTok and Instagram. Yeah. And when she got on shore, there's people surrounding her, holding hands, like, don't touch her, stay away from her. And she looks
111 miles.
Holy shit.
She swam 111 miles.
I can't even imagine walking that far.
64 years old.
And there's benches when you walk that far. And naps.
And naps.
Like, you can't lay down in the ocean and take a nap.
Not sharks, you know?
And not sharks. And not salt water in your mouth.
Like, she had to have been so dehydrated.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
That's probably why she looks so delirious.
Well, I'm sure she did not eat before she went swimming because otherwise she wouldn't have made it
drowned.
She would have drowned. She would have sunk to the bottom and drowned.
And then get in the pool.
I wonder if she had services along the way. You know, people handing her water, like maybe she floated on her back or treaded water a little bit and drank some water, or
well, I assume she peed in the water.
Oh, I would have several times probably.
Yeah.
What if you have to poop?
Oh.
Yeah, because you have a swimsuit on, right? I mean, 112 miles. I wouldn't categorize myself.
Google.
I would not categorize myself as a runner by any stretch of the imagination. I do go run occasionally, and I have ran races. It is quite common for runners to talk about poop all the time at any point of a race. And
28 hours.
I can only imagine she had to poop sometime.
Yeah. I mean,
so maybe
she was so distracted.
When it comes, it comes. And usually when you're working out and the poop comes, you're like, oh, I got to go now. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but no.
Well, are we talking about poop on this podcast? We'll talk about poop.
We could talk
Some
whatever.
Some people don't poop that often.
Okay. We can talk whatever we want. My
Like,
my
I
daughter
feel like chronic constipation is common occurrence in people.
my daughter has a friend that has to take medication to tell her body to poop.
See, maybe she's one of those people. Maybe she didn't poop for 28 hours.
Oh, her stomach would hurt so bad. Oh. Yeah. I mean, we could talk about poop on this podcast. We can talk whatever we want because it's my podcast and I can do what I want. I do what I want.
Pee poo poo. We do what we want.
Yeah. I can only imagine what her swimsuit looked like after that long. It was a throwaway for sure.
It was a throwaway.
That's too far. Why? What do you think inspires somebody to do that? Something like that?
If there's just certain people out there that exist only to test boundaries, that only want to climb the highest mountains, do the longest runs, they are just boundary pushers. And they want to do these things that no one else wants to do. Like, I don't know who you're competing with, ma'am. It's not me. Like,
It's not literally anybody else.
It's nobody else that you are competing with. It's just wild. You're like, but why though?
Right. Do you think that it's and I know you're not an expert in this, probably. Maybe you are.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll find out. Do you think that it has something to do with tendencies of addiction? So people can transfer their addictions. Addictions can come out in many different things. Come out in exercise and eating and drugs, alcohol, shopping, gambling, all those kinds of things. Do you think it's kind of like an adrenaline addiction?
I think we all have that thing that we do that you're like, you do this not necessarily for someone else to tell you that you need to do it, but because you need to do it.
Okay. That's fair.
Maybe this is their version of nail biting. They're just nail biters that swim 110 miles.
And needs a crew to follow them along so they don't drown.
So that's the
There
thing.
has to have been a power boat going by her.
Because, there was a boat near her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they followed her around. So that means not just one people, but a team of people supported her in this absolutely unnecessary event. There is nothing that occurred during that pushed us forward as a society.
Right.
That I don't know. Maybe she did, like, however many miles. Maybe people were supporting her. It went to a great charity. I don't know. But it's like there's nothing about, and that's what I think about running, too.
Yeah.
There is no one chasing me.
No, there's not.
And
No.
there I am not winning any prizes that.
You get a participation trophy. If you pay to be in an event, you get a trophy that says, I finished. Even if you don't finish, you just walk up to the finish line and like, here's your trophy. You paid, so here's your thing.
Here's your lanyard.
Right,
That
yeah.
you can put in a box and your children can throw away for you after you die.
Later. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
I just look at some of
happening.
these things, or like climbing Mount Everest and like the number of people that die while doing that.
Yeah, zero interest from this side of the table.
Yeah, I have no interest in physically competing against anyone. So I guess maybe that's just me.
Okay.
I did when I was younger. I was on swim team, but I was like, now that I'm older, I'm like, wow, that served no purpose. I work out to not jiggle in the wrong places. That's it.
To firm up those extra special places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you feel good.
So
with
I
yourself.
feel good with
Yeah.
myself, and I worry a lot less about what other people think anymore. So
Right.
it's like, oh, I don't know why you would do
I
that.
think the older you get, the less you care about what other people think.
Yeah, I can't wait to be that little old lady that's like, out in front watering her plants and her moo-moo. Get off my lawn.
I want to get to the age where I can wear a moo-moo like all the time.
I
Like
think
go
they're back in
grocery
style.
shopping and there's like 0% of the people are judging you because you're of a certain age and you're wearing a moo-moo.
I think we're all going to judge them anyway.
I won't. I'll go up to high five. Like, good on you for wearing your moo-moo to the grocery store. This is amazing.
I think there will.
If they're of a certain age.
Yeah. I was like, wait, can I start wearing a moo-moo and you'll
Yeah.
high-five me all
Yeah,
the time?
it-
Because they're
if-
super comfy.
If you start wearing a moo-moo and going to the grocery store, I might ask you if you need assistance. Alta, do you need help? Can I help you with something? Is everything
Probably
going?
the grocery shopping. I hate going there. Maybe that'll
Same.
just be my silent protest. I don't like to be in this building with all these other people picking up these products. They should just magically appear in my home. I don't want to
No.
put any effort into this activity. I see to open the cupboard and for the tortillas to be there.
What are the two chores? Well, what are the top 5 chores in your home that you like hate? And if you won the lottery, you would definitely hire it out.
Oh, picking up dog poop, number 1.
Oh, okay.
Dog poop is a hard pass for me.
And you have a fenced backyard.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate dog poop a lot. I guess the cat box is up there too. Like dealing with animal feces is not super fun.
Okay. Yeah, I see that one.
Yeah, I mean, if I won the lottery and had millions of dollars, I wouldn't do anything to clean. Like,
No,
if somebody
they
else
would do
the
all
cleaning.
of it.
And I would be supporting local businesses, by the way.
Yes,
this
you
is
would.
not selfish. This is me supporting small business.
Yes. Yeah, everybody plays their role.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like,
you
I would
play
be
the role in supporting small
businesses.
Yeah.
Well, you know, this isn't selfish or the fact that I don't like cleaning up the dog hair and the dog poop. It's just that I am being generous.
Yes.
With my winnings.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you're going to win it.
If I win the lottery.
It's winning. Okay.
It's
You're going to win. Okay. Well, this podcast is going to start making millions.
Yeah.
Because
so
all
then
the people are going to
support small business. You're
That's
gonna have
right. Yes.
You're going to have a house cleaner.
Fold my socks. We have a laundry basket full of socks.
Yeah, same.
I shit you not, it has been sitting in the behind my bed for 5 years. Like zero exaggeration. And I'm pretty sure this basket of socks moved from one house to our current house with us.
I can help you with that.
Just throw it in the garbage?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and then over those 5 years, how many of those socks still actually fit my children who are now,
Oh, they don't.
two
They're
of the
now huge.
three are moved out. So
Now they're like adults. They're like big. They're like full-sized humans. They're not half-sized humans anymore.
right. So
Yeah.
I don't even know why the basket still exists, but
I don't know.
socks, folding laundry definitely would be my outsourced activity, my number one
So I
outsourced
fold
activity.
all the laundry. The socks just have a tendency. I get to the bottom and they get a little like it's hard to find the match, and I just stop.
Yeah. And then you have piles, places, or a special place of unmatched socks.
Yeah, but
And they never get matched.
They don't, but I do a couple times a year just look at the basket and go, I'm done here, and I just throw it away. My kids get socks every year for Christmas, so I just kind of
Right.
feel like if they're low on socks, they can wait till December.
I love how we give reasonable gifts for Christmas. And it's
It's
always
filler.
socks and underwear and pajamas.
It's filler. Yeah, you have to
Like,
have.
you're gonna wait till Christmas because this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, you
for
get some toothpaste.
The special
The
toothpaste.
special Christmas toothpaste. And you get some socks. But my kids do look forward to the socks. I always get them a couple of funny pairs and then like, okay, you actually do need socks.
Like legit socks. Yeah.
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 And again, something that they did not tell you that you needed to worry about as a child, that you do need to worry about as an adult, is how many pairs of socks you're going to buy. And nobody ever talked about that.
No. Or what do you do with the socks that you no longer need? Because by
Can't
the
get into
time
Goodwill.
no, you can't.
And they're not donatable.
And by the time you go to get rid of them, they're probably outstretched, right? Or they've got a hole in it somehow, or they're not something you would feel good donating to somebody else. If you're
Right.
not going to wear it because it's non-functioning anymore, then why would you give it to somebody else? That doesn't seem.
It's not reasonable.
Yeah, and it
it's
doesn't
all-
feel
it's
good
all
with
of the
karma
linens.
either. You
Yep.
know, it's like
All of the linens.
feels
Well, also, I just feel bad throwing them away. And maybe that's just being in Oregon where we recycle everything. Having an item I can't recycle or give to someone else or to have further use,
right.
it like weighs on my conscience.
Right. Well, and socks aren't cheap.
They're not.
So socks
anymore.
aren't cheap, and then as you buy the socks and you need to replace them with other socks, you think, well, I don't want to get rid of the other socks because socks are
We're going to get
expensive.
into this is probably just an OCD quirk. Also, if one sock gets a little stretched out, or you have those foot socks that you wear with low ankled shoes.
Yeah.
If one of them is just a dud and it likes to fall off the
Mm-hmm.
heel, and it's the same sock every time.
Yeah.
It's not your shoe eating the sock.
No.
It is that sock is a dud.
Yeah. It's no longer representative of its former quality.
Yeah, it is not functioning as sock. It is trash, but can you get rid of it?
No.
No,
Because
you
it's
keep
part
it.
of the pair because the other one still works.
And then you walk around with the sock that slipped under your heel all day
Right.
because you're like, well, I love you, sock. I can't get rid of you. That would be so disrespectful to the
Yes.
planet, to you as a sock. Like, I don't know what to do with that sock.
Yeah.
I
I do the same thing with underwear. Like I'll go to the store and I'll accidentally buy underwear that might be too small. And
Never done
it cuts off my,
Can't feel your
my
toes now?
No, you can't feel your toes. It gives the worst panty line. You only ever wear it with certain pants. But
you only
refuse
wear them at
to get
home
rid of them.
because they cut into they give you the muffin top that you didn't have in the first place. But you're like, but I can't get rid of them. It's it's contributing to the trash in
Right.
the ocean.
It,
Like, I
and
don't
it was
know.
$12 a pair, or some ridiculous. Actually, I buy all of my underwear on clearance because I refuse to pay $12 a pair. So I'm a $2.99 a pair person, and I buy all of them. But yeah, and then if you accidentally buy the wrong size, so what do you do with it?
It gets pushed to the back of the drawer, Erin.
Yes, it does.
Like
And
a
that
reasonable adult.
those
all
are the ones that you're like, okay, now I have to do
and you-
laundry because
yeah,
I've
because
reached that underwear
so
level.
you get to that pair, and I still won't put it on. And I go, oh, I have to do laundry, or I'll go. And same thing with other items,
Or you
like
just go
shirts,
commando.
or
You're like, I'm not wearing
not
any.
doing it.
I'm
Like,
not doing it.
and you hate them that much that you would rather wear none.
Yeah.
But
they
you won't
still
get
stay
rid
in
of
your
them.
drawer.
They're still there. Because
Like
it's, I
tights
don't-
and pantyhose.
Yeah.
I wear tights and pantyhose maybe 3 times a year. Maybe. On the high side. And I have a whole drawer at home of
Because you buy
tights
them
and
for
pantyhose.
one occasion. Like, I want a more opaque pair, or I want a more sheer pair, or these ones need to be sparkly. And then they sit there because the next time you have a dress or an event, you no longer, those aren't the ones.
Right.
That isn't hit right.
Right. And tights are $25 plus usually. And it's,
Yeah.
and then, it's a pair of pants essentially. You don't want to get rid of it. Yeah.
So these are the decisions no one prepared us for.
Right. We were prepared for things like amnesia.
Yes. A sudden strike to the head.
Yes.
And you could forget your whole family.
Forgot your whole family, forgot who you were. You
could
can rebuild your whole life.
And then your
From
family
scratch?
finds you, and then it's awkward.
Yes. And you have this great, beautiful life. You have a new name, a new identity. You're making it well, you're making great money. You live on the ocean somewhere because
Yeah.
you always go to
Always
the
on the
ocean.
beach.
Always live your best life when you have amnesia. And that's another thing that I thought was something I would at least know one person in my life who would have amnesia.
Yeah,
At least one person.
I've not met any.
No, I hear of people in the news who have it.
Do you know what else that actually happens? It's not common. Again, probably something we shouldn't fear is people get hit in the head and then they speak in an accent.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Yeah, they just like all of a sudden they're British, and you're like, you're from Oklahoma. Like, what just happened?
Like, what is happening to you? And that probably happens more frequently than amnesia.
Yeah,
Right?
I would assume. I mean, I know that people, when they get concussions, your memory is affected, and you can have gaps in memory. That's
Sure.
something I've heard of, and that is common, but not like
Like-
you just don't know who you are anymore.
Like Frankie Muniz. I think that's how you say his last name. From Malcolm in the Middle.
Okay.
He was Malcolm.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember acting in those TV shows.
Really? Is
Has
that just
no
a trauma
memory.
response?
I have no idea.
Who touched him?
Yeah, right. He probably what's the guy? Weinstein or whatever. No, I don't know.
I don't remember his name. Okay, if you really want to
Oh.
you're gonna have to get your phone. You're gonna have to
that's
Google
real.
it. If you really want to
Go down a rabbit trail. Yeah.
No, play a game that I will fail at. Start asking me about actors and actresses' names.
I do
You can tell
so
me what
bad.
their character is, and I'd be like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. You start asking me their names, and I'm no.
No, that's me in bands. So when somebody says, "Oh, isn't this so and so singing this song?" I'm like,
I don't know the names
I
of
have
the singers.
no
in the band.
idea.
Very rarely. Like I have, bands that I'm fixated on, and I know a lot about that band. But I have a friend who I swear you could quiz him any era of punk music, and it would just be. He could just tell you everything and what songs they sang, and like, oh,
and who was the replacement drummer for this
yeah.
concert?
It's insane. You're just like, again, what purpose is this serving for you?
Right, just super hyper focused on that thing.
Yeah, but we're super hyper focused apparently on socks, so maybe this serves them better than socks.
Socks are a big deal. That is something. Matching socks is something nobody told me I'd be doing. However, wearing socks, I was completely prepared for that. So it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Keeping your socks dry, that was something I was prepared for.
Yeah, are you gonna get foot fungus or
Yeah, or
something like that?
I don't know, gangrene or whatever happens when you have wet feet.
Well, it did happen in Vietnam, but we don't have to go there.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't have to go there. So I'm good. Yeah.
we don't need to talk about Nam. We're gonna trigger your viewers.
That's yeah. And it's so funny. We both have these lists of things that we thought would be a much bigger deal as we were growing up. And I got my list from jessicaschwartz.medium.com. So I just wanted to give her a little shout out. But so on my list of things that I have are Quicksand, which we went over, being offered drugs by strangers.
Stranger drugs.
I've never been given drugs by a stranger.
Yeah. Not just walking down the street.
Ever.
I thought because in those movies and Dare, they'd be like, somebody just be standing on the street corner that came in, you want some weed?
Yeah. And you're like,
nobody has ever.
Hell yeah, I want some weed. And then now they're not, and they don't exist.
You melted to the couch and you're the splatted egg in the pan, like you just die.
This is your body. This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said that the DARE program actually made kids more aware of drugs and caused more drug users.
I think and this could get into a crazy topic. This could be a whole hour on its own. But I think there are certain things we're exposing children to that they never would have considered. There's things they are teaching in school, especially when you talk about like the sex ed program and things they're adding into there. I don't think they would consider it. Most children wouldn't.
Right.
And so
and it's too young. It's way too young.
Way too young, because I'm like, they aren't there yet. And you're just offering it up to them. Like your body's cycle of maturing will start to pique your interest in things. And that's when those things should be discussed.
Right.
Not starting this in like 4th and 5th grade. Because
Exactly.
they're just not there yet. I think we're almost like removing innocence to a certain point because we're just offering up this information. Like, did they ask you?
Yeah.
Like they didn't. It's just like, I didn't ask for, to be taught drop and roll or to be terrified of quicksand. Like, if you hadn't told me, I would never have known it was a
walked
thing. Around with
thing.
This irrational fear.
Right.
If
If we walked around in some fire and brimstone type community where every other block we had to jump across a fire bridge or walk across some fiery coals, then yes, teach me stop, drop, and roll. But if it's not something that is going to be a thing that's going to be of danger to me in the future, I'm not entirely sure why I learned it so frequently.
It's like when people say it's like, this is on a need to know basis and you don't need to know. Like,
right.
They don't need to know. We don't need to know certain kinds of stuff. And then our parents doing things like tricking us into, one of the ones I have written down is, you have to eat carrots for good eyesight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so you can see in the dark.
Right.
Because otherwise you won't have good night vision. So you need to eat carrots.
Right. For the vitamin C, right? Is that what it was? Or the beta-carotene?
Vitamin A.
Oh.
The beta-carotene as well. But the vitamin A, from what I understand, is what, but it's not, you get so much vitamins in other foods. That's just your parents lying to you to get you eat your veggies,
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, vegetables Normandy, actually not a good, you could pick something else, Ma.
Ooh, what is that?
Oh, it's vegetable Normandy. It's like they sell it in the store and it's got cauliflower and carrots and something else gross in it. But then,
Is that the one with the lima beans?
Yes.
Okay. So, unpopular opinion, I actually like lima beans.
That's separate, but when you put them all in the same freezer bag and then you put them in
And
the
you microwave
microwave, it's disgusting.
It's gross.
If you want your kids to eat vegetables, I don't know, present them
Or
better.
cream spinach.
Oh,
I mean, I'm a spinach gal all day long.
day.
I'll even eat cooked spinach in some
certain dishes,
forms or another.
prefer it raw.
But the
yeah.
canned cream spinach.
Canned cream spinach, or just the frozen in a block, and then it gets like warmed up or tossed into soup in some way.
And I swear my parents loved torturing my brother because he did the best faces when he was eating something he didn't like, and he would actually gag and throw it up. And then they'd say to him this, well, if you throw it up, you got to eat it. So he'd choke it down. He hated lettuce. He hated salad, like as a child. And most children, not salad fans. They're just not.
Yeah.
And so they told him that Michael Jordan eats salad. And all of a sudden, he would eat salad. He's like, oh, okay. And then he would eat salad because Michael Jordan was the shiznit back in the day.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
and
a
so
motivating factor.
yeah. So it's these little things. And so I swore as a parent, I would never make my kids eat. So I didn't. I would make food. And if they didn't want to eat it, okay, then don't eat the food. You're not going to starve to death.
No.
Come back the next day. You can have breakfast or whatever. But, yeah, force feeding a kid to eat. I would never force feed an adult to eat. And that's kind of how I think of it.
Yeah.
I want to encourage them to eat a variety of things. So, You know, they eat sushi. They love sushi, Thai food, Mexican food. They have a big palate.
So you just didn't lie to your children about their eyesight to get them to eat? Why?
No.
Why
no,
would you not
I
do
didn't.
that? That seems so easy.
No. I feel like it's those heinous foods that kids just can't eat. So like Brussels sprouts, for instance. I love me some Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts are that is a hot topic. That is it's a love-hate vegetable.
Right. But I feel like a 5-year-old
they don't really
looks
need
at
to
it
eat
and
Brussels
thinks,
sprouts. Well, they stink.
that looks heinous. Yeah, they do stink.
Well, the way I got my children to eat asparagus is very enticing. I would just tell them their pee will smell funny tomorrow, and they were like, I want to check this out.
So did all of their pee smell funny?
Everybody's pee smells funny when you eat asparagus.
I think it's just certain people.
Well, my entire family then, because we can make
Mine is wretched. I have
really
one
good.
bite of asparagus and it's all done. I have to make a conscious decision on whether or not I'm going to eat asparagus.
So you're like, do I want to torture myself for the next 24 hours?
What am I doing the next 24 hours? Yeah. So.
Yeah. But my children think that's hilarious. So they will eat it, even if it's only one spear, just for the giggles later.
For the gross pee.
Yeah.
Well, you're not lying to them. It is
I'm
true.
not.
No.
I'm just enticing them.
Yes. Well, and
to
my
make
daughter
a good
loves
decision.
asparagus and she loves Brussels sprouts now. She's 16 years old. But my son still is like, I'd rather eat different veggies.
Yeah.
You know? So
Depends
I
on how you cook
don't
them.
know. I don't have enough energy to force feed my kids.
No.
And so I make a meal. And if they don't like it, then they eat something else. And by the time they got old enough to make their own food, if you didn't want to eat what I was making, have fun making your own meal. I'm not a short order cook. So
Yeah,
I'm going to make
making
a
2 meals
thing.
is a no.
I don't enjoy cooking anyways. So I'm going to make a thing. And if you don't want it, then whatever. I don't have the brain power to fight a child at the dinner table every night.
Did you ever have an adult tell you that if you swallowed a watermelon seed, it would grow in your tummy?
Yes. It was a great fear of mine. Mm-hmm. Yes. If you swallowed a watermelon, I don't know how. It didn't make any sense to me, but yes.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But yeah, tremendous amounts of fear surrounding any kind of seed.
Right. Which is why we went to seedless watermelon. Clearly, that's why they invented seedless watermelon.
So obviously, we need to genetically modify the food because you terrified an entire generation of people.
And I wonder where that came from. I wonder if it was like a myth of like a child saw a woman pregnant. And some dad was probably like, she swallowed a watermelon seed, and it kind of just took off from there.
I will admit to making that joke. My oldest I had when I was very young, and so there was a couple of jokes like that. Or the first time she saw a pregnant woman, it was so funny. This largely pregnant, very close to the end of a pregnancy woman, and she was like, she's like, what's that? She got a baby in her belly. Her eyes got huge, and she just looked at me. She goes, she ate a baby. I was like, no.
Kids say the best things.
She was probably 3 or 4, and I was like, I just died. And I was like, no, that is not how the baby got in there. We'll talk about it, when it's age appropriate. It's growing. It's going to come out.
Kids.
And I thought, the funnier thing to do would have been to show her that scene with the chest burster. Like, this is how babies come out.
Yes, Alien.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had an actual fear that, especially when I was pregnant with my son, he was my first, that he was going to burst out of my chest because of how violent the kicking gets and those kinds of things.
When they kick you right in the back of the belly button.
Yes, and he was a big baby. He was 10'4" when he was born.
Yeah.
And I'm 5'4", so he went way. I was
taking up some space.
I was rather large.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in there, and so when he's in there kicking, I was like, please don't come out of my chest. Please don't rip out of my chest.
I was more worried about getting a rib broken. My son was also large, and he kept kicking the one rib over and over. I was like, that thing's gonna break. That little hanging rib down there.
Well, people have broken ribs when they're pregnant and all kinds of random stuff that happens to them.
Oh, the amount of terrible things that happen during pregnancy that, again, things people should have told you about but didn't.
I would have been better off being afraid of some of those things being pregnant
Yeah, you don't need to teach abstinence to children. You just need to teach these young ladies what happens to their body when they get pregnant.
Yes.
They won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. All you have to do is bring a bunch of people through who have recently had a child and have them
They try
model
to show
in
you
a
the birth
bikini.
video. Yeah,
They're like,
tell them
yeah, no, not
appeal to their
for me.
vanity. Exactly. Show them the stretch marks.
Oh
Show
my
them
God.
some hemorrhoids, for crying out loud. Those kids will be like, not happening.
no.
Don't need to teach any kind of sex education. Show them, what happens to a woman's, like, even your nose swells because you have so much extra fluid in your body.
Yeah.
Show them cankles.
Yeah. And then keep them awake for a month.
Yes.
Keep
just
them awake
sleep
for a month
deprivation.
and then just constantly show them photos of random body parts that have
are
been
stretched
ruined.
out and just absolutely obliterated. Don't show them these supermodel types that come out unscathed for some reason. Show them some real
because
stuff.
they have trainers that they've paid. Trainers they've paid
Show
and
them,
cooks that
I'll
they
show
have
them the
paid.
stretch mark by my belly button because I had a belly button ring when I got pregnant. So now I have a big old X marks where this piercing used to be. We'll just show them that.
I have so when I turned 18, I went and got a tattoo because it felt like a rite of passage.
Well, yeah, I did
and
it
it's
too. I hid it from my parents too.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
Like it was like
And they found it. But
yeah, and they were so mad, and I'm like, why are you mad? Nowadays it's more common for people to get tattoos.
Yeah.
When I was 18, it was not as common.
Not
It was
as
becoming more popular. So it's a blue star, and it's on my left hip, right where the incision for my C-sections went through.
Oh, lovely.
So my incision for my C-section went through it, and then when I was pregnant with my son, giant, like 1 inch wide, at least a 1 inch wide by like a 2 inch tall stretch mark, like the biggest stretch mark you've ever
Just
seen.
right through the center.
So I was having Braxton Hicks contractions in the hospital, and they were checking me to see if I was actually in active labor. And a nurse comes in, and she goes, "Oh, I see you have a tattoo. Is it a dolphin?" And I'm like, "Bitch, you better get the fuck out of here right now."
Right off.
Like I am in pain. And it used to be a star, and I'm 21 years old, and now it's not a star anymore. It looks like a dolphin that's been sliced in half. Yeah, it was awful. There are places on your body that I highly recommend not getting tattooed.
There's an entire podcast that you could create from that. But also, my daughter started getting tattoos at 18, and I just told her I had veto rights on the artist. That's all I said. I was like, if you're gonna do it, it's gonna be a good tattoo. That's all I care about. Is I don't want any of this trash.
Right. Well, my daughter has
trash.
done those like basement tattoos where a friend of hers has bought
stick
a
and pokes.
tattoo gun or whatever.
Oh God.
Yeah, and done the stick and poke. So she's got a smiley face on her finger. And I'm like, you're going to regret that. She goes, I am not. And then she has the one on her thumb that's like a smiley face one way, and then you do it another way, it's upside down smiley face. At least they're small.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there's a reason why you wait till you're 18. Is because you're of a older age and you make somewhat better decisions. Not good
sure about
not good
that?
decisions. Somewhat
18
better
doesn't seem like it.
decisions
18
than a
doesn't seem
14-year-old.
Well, then, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Still dramatic decisions, a little less dramatic, but the older you wait. But yeah, I mean, my son's girlfriend, they're 20, and she has a whole sleeve already, and they're beautiful. I love them. And I think kids now put more thought and effort, other than my daughter, into what they want to get as a tattoo.
I don't think so. I mean, you look at finish crinkling my paper.
Crinkle.
When you look at they get them everywhere. They go way down onto their hands earlier now.
Yes,
The
they
kids
do.
these days are like, well, they're getting face tattoos where we were not really doing that.
I don't want to touch my face. It's good for some people, not for me.
I think
but
if it's
employers
your
are a lot
entire
more
lifestyle, then go for it. If you're Post Malone, fuck around. Like that's fine. But if you are a small business owner in a town where you're trying to, or just you're trying to be employed and you're trying to sell something to people who are going to have a different thought on life than you, then you should probably make your tattoos at least concealable.
Well, then that goes into a little bit of being authentic and being true to you. Also,
That's true,
right? So I truly believe that what you do attracts the type of people that you want to attract.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I mean, you open this can of worms of authenticity and when it makes sense to be authentic, but then if you have to think about when it makes sense to be authentic, are you being authentic?
Well, you just don't want to,
Right.
for me, I just don't want to exclude anyone from purchasing a service, or
Right.
or a product.
Right, making the
Like
most
just
money out of
because,
it.
you have these thoughts on tattoos and your body is your temple, that doesn't mean that I don't want to sell you a snow cone. Because my snow cone has nothing to do with it.
My God, sorry, I just burped into the mic. My bad, I'm
Hold on,
sorry.
I gotta you can cut that out.
Or maybe I won't.
Some of us have allergies, all right? Just leave it in. Just get some of that snot handled.
Well, it's so funny how when you look at big towns, there's more people that are more accepting of like a face tattoo or a neck tattoo or whatever, and then you go into smaller towns and they get a lot more judgy.
Well, it's this, there's a reason for that. I'm sure that there's some psychologists out there that can explain it. But when
Yeah, write in Erin at thenodirectionpodcast.com.
yeah, you tell us.
Yeah, tell us.
Tell us what the psychology is around why small town people are so hard up to judge everyone that lives in their small town.
Right.
Where you walk around in Portland and I'll see somebody that's got hideous hair, face tattoos, and walking around looking in their moo-moo, looking like an unmade bed. Right. And I go, I don't give a shit about what you're doing.
Like, yeah, same shit, different day,
and
whatever.
I go, look at you and your lack of motive. I don't give a shit.
Right.
You're
not affecting me. You go do that over
exactly.
there.
Like that's what you're doing today. I'm doing something else. I
Right.
got up and moving around with my life. So I don't care.
Right.
Same way I have a neighbor that really cares and calls city code enforcement on everyone for everything.
Oh, you're
I'm
telling me about the neighbor.
oh God, I have a crazy neighbor. But I was like, why do you care if Bob has boxes next to his house? Why do you care if so-and-so down the street, if one of the wheels of their trailer is on the grass and not on the concrete? It doesn't affect you.
Right.
Like, as long as it's not a major eyesore.
It affects the beautification of my neighborhood and the resellability, whatever. And there are some people that let shit go, and
really
you're like,
far.
Okay, we need to rein that in.
That's what you need help with. You don't need help with 2 or 3 boxes or a wheel off the driveway or, a car on the street. You need help with the people who have 15 cars and have, 2 or 3 RVs in their yard or, things like that. And I just have this neighbor who just believes that everyone should have this neat as a pin situation. But it's like, I just keep thinking, like, how is this affecting your life?
It's not. So I happened to pause on a video about a Karen. So you're aware of what a Karen is, those people that just complain about everything and make a big stink about stupid things. And so I happened to pause on it. I'm like, ooh, where is this going? Let me see the thing. And so now I get a lot of Karen videos recently because that's what you do when you're scrolling through and you pause on something for 2 seconds. Now you see all of those things. And so I've seen a lot of them lately, and it is incredible the stupid shit that they spend so much of their time and energy battling.
Yeah.
It's just the stupidest, craziest thing, and they're wasting everybody else's time. And it's like, move on with your life. Like, what happened to you where you need to be so controlling in everybody else's life that you've gotten to this point where it's out of control? Like, is it a security issue? Is it something like, do you not have control in other places of your life? Or do you...
Again,
there's got to be some sort of psychology.
The psychologist, what's the email address they're sending it to again?
It's Erin at thenodirectionpodcast.com.
Yeah. That's ERIN, yeah?
That is correct.
Okay.
The girl way to spell it.
The girl way to spell it.
The 1980s girl way.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah, there's got to be a psychology around that. I think, in my opinion, the neighbor I am speaking of, she's been living alone for 15 years, and she just has a lot of time to focus. And she's retired now, and she
needs a hobby.
I just want to be like, do you want to volunteer for the Japanese garden or the Seroptimus? Like, what do you need
I'm sure
to
they
go
thank
do?
you for sending her to them.
No, I don't speak to her anymore. It's gotten to the point where I literally told her to fuck all the way off and we don't speak anymore. And
Because she used to come to you and complain about people, right?
about people. And
Yeah.
I just, and I would listen, and then I just can't do it anymore.
Right.
I
Good
just
for
had to
you.
Tell her to
Protect your own mental health.
Yeah, I was like, you're infringing upon my peace.
Yeah, you're stressing me out.
Yeah,
And I'm
I'm
sure
over
this
it.
is against code.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think there's nothing. I was told by the Gresham Police Department, because she likes to swear out of her cameras, that apparently you can say fuck publicly and they will not do anything about it.
Well,
So I could.
I
Tell
would
her
like to
fuck
get
off.
into the history of bad words, because somewhere somebody felt like the word is bad,
They weren't-
right?
there
And
wasn't-
now
yeah.
everybody's offended by words. And I do agree that there's some words that I will never say.
There's a time and a place for everything.
Yep, and there's a time and a place for everything. But they're just words,
Yeah.
And
You
some
can also
of them
say
are
that some
very-
words are not owned by you specifically. There's certain things that I will never say as well. But other people are allowed to say them if they choose to.
right.
Or if I have a bad opinion about somebody for saying them, I just am not, like with this woman, I don't agree with the things you're saying. I'm just not going to talk to you anymore.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think any word can become a bad word, because if you instead of saying shit, you say, oh, poop.
It's
The
intent.
intention is still
Yeah,
there.
we have that conversation
whether
with our kids a lot, yeah.
whether you say shit or poop, or fuck is the most universally accepted bad word, but it can be used as anything. It could be used as a noun, as a pronoun, as an adjective,
Well,
as
it's
a,
also
as a subject.
like,
As
it's exciting or it's detrimental or derogatory, right? Because you can be like "fuck yeah" versus "fuck you." You know,
Right.
it's like
and it's
just-
how it's
an
used.
Exciting word. They're like sprinkles. My mother hates my swearing. Always has. I don't think I'm too bad. I've heard people where they're like a fucking dang old me all fuck off, huh? There's like
Right,
keep going
every
and
other
going,
word.
going. And I feel like I use it as an emphasis and
A sentence enhancer.
it's a sentence enhancer. It's sprinkles on your cupcake.
Right.
And they
You're
do
welcome.
say that intelligent people swear more.
I've heard that. And honest people.
And
Intelligent
honest
and people who are
Yeah.
honest swear more. There's a whole book about it. Go read the books.
Yeah.
I actually want to buy the book and read it, so I know more of the psychology behind that. But
Again, if there's a psychologist out there that wants to imbibe some information about the word fuck, it's Erin at nodirectionpodcast.com. Is it the nodirectionpodcast.com? Or just nodirectionpodcast.com?
shoot, I don't know.
New
Try 'em
email,
both.
New life, who dis? New email, new life. This is exciting stuff. Okay, to get back on track slightly, I have three
What?
more things I
Okay,
want to
okay,
say
all right,
before we're
all
done.
right.
I don't know what time it is.
I don't know.
Oh, we're not even. We got like minutes.
We're good.
The one that really got me, because I liked to make faces. I like to make faces on my brother.
I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
It's gonna stick.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Especially
or if
so.
you cross your eyes, it's gonna stick.
So what
Like, but
was
if you were
what
to make
was your
faces,
stick factor? So if you crossed your eyes, at what point were you afraid that it was going to stick?
So my brothers had me completely convinced that if they hit me in the back of the head while I was doing it, that it would stick.
Same. Yes. If you're
So
making
they
a bad
would-
face and they get hit in
And
the back of the head.
Yeah. So they would walk up and just smack you in the back of the head, and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm hideous forever,"
Yes.
But again,
Yes.
I have three older brothers, so
Right.
I was constantly being told I was going to grow up and be ugly.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So I feel like,
you're going to grow up and be ugly.
what if you're making a weird face and you get filled with injections, right? Like Botox or filler or whatever you use, and get hit in the back of the head? At that point, do you get frozen in time? Just like whatever the face it is you're making.
It was such a fear, just like, because I would just like, just like make this face at my brothers. They'd be talking or telling me not to do something or
Right.
not to bother. Then I'm like, I'm going to bother you, just like making whatever.
Were you the baby?
I'm the baby.
Okay,
Yes. And
yeah.
the youngest, I'm the youngest, and I have three older brothers, and my entire life's mission was definitely to annoy them.
Right, to poke them. You wanted the attention, and they weren't giving it to you because they're boys, and you
And they
wanted
were
to
off
do
doing
one thing.
other
Yeah.
things, and they wanted to do that without me there. And I was like, fat fucking chance, here
Yeah.
I come.
I'm coming along, and guess what? Mom's going to tell you have to take me.
Exactly. You're going to be told to play with me. No, I mean, sometimes they would fight it, but my brother directly above me would actually be like, fine, and he'd go get his G.I. Joes and come play Barbies with me. So that was nice. But yeah, but he was still, this is a podcast-worthy story. It's a rabbit trail. But my favorite story about my brother Brian, I am not a morning person, and I am sitting there, 16 years old, high schooler, hating Cheerios, hating that I'm awake, just got up. I'm sitting at the table, angrily stuffing my face because I have to go to school. I have
you're 16, you're just mad at everything.
And everything just sucks. And my brother was apparently outside, and he knocks on the sliding glass door, and I look up to see his butt cheeks pushed up against the glass, and he just farts, and the steam just goes up and down.
Oh, no.
Out of his butt crack both ways. So there's this
and clearly you still have this great image of what is happening.
Just my brother's butt cheeks on a sliding glass door. And just the sound is and then he runs away giggling, and I of course drop the spoon and take off after him to go I'm sure
murder him
in some way, shape, or form. But oh my God, growing up the youngest with brothers was
it Brian with an I or a Y?
I.
My
parents are not that creative.
Mine was Brian with a Y.
Your parents are more creative. My parents are not.
I think they were just watching TV
well,
or
everyone
something.
has traditional names in my family except for me. I've got an Eric, a Scott, and a Brian.
Okay.
Those are very normal.
Well, yeah. But do they all come from the same place where Alta comes from?
No. No family. Mine's my great-grandmother's name. So it's a family name.
Oh, okay.
But it's I couldn't get a normal one. Everybody else had a normal one.
They knew you were going to be unique. That's what it was.
They're like, this one's a handful.
She's got to stand out.
Yeah, this one's a handful. Might as well just call that from the get.
Right. We'll just.
Okay, the other one that warts you're going to get from frogs.
Warts from frogs.
Yeah, from toads specifically. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you I think it was just because my mom got tired of frogs being brought in the house.
Oh. Well, that was a thing that I had heard also. But I actually had, growing up, warts on my hands.
Oh, I think every kid gets a wart somewhere at some point. All my kids got one.
Ultrasonic bath to get rid of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
kids all got one on their toe at some point.
Yeah.
I think just from playground or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
planters warts or whatever.
Yeah. If you take care of them,
with the black roots. Have you ever seen those?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
I had one.
No, I did see one.
I had one on my toe once. I think I was in high school, and it had these little black spots, and I grabbed each one of them with tweezers
and just ripped them
out, and it was a long spaghetti root, each one of them.
So one of my kids,
so
we
gross,
did end up
but so satisfying.
Having to actually, he had skinned his elbow, and when the scab never went away, and then I was like, oh, that's broken skin is how those things occur.
Sure.
It gets in there somehow. And so he'd skinned his elbow at the playground, and then when the scab went away, there was just a little dot. I was like, oh, it's just taking a while to heal. And then eventually I was like, oh, that's not. that has turned into something completely different.
Yes.
We had to have it frozen off. But the girls, I think I just used apple cider vinegar and was put Band-Aids on it. And eventually
and it goes away?
It goes away.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need extra.
An ultrasonic bath.
So it did not come from a frog, though. I will tell you
No,
that.
It did not, ever. And so my dad used to own a food testing lab. And so I don't know what you use an ultrasonic bath for. I have no idea. He would know.
Cleaning your glasses. I don't know.
Okay, sure, yeah. Cleaning your jewelry. So it's just like an open pot that plugs in, and you fill it with water, and you put your hands in it, and you keep them in there for as long as you can stand them. Eventually it hurts. I think it gets warm or something happens. I can't remember for sure. And you take it out and you do a few treatments, and your warts go away, and there's zero pain.
That's pretty neat.
It was amazing.
I did not know that.
Yeah. There you go.
The more you know.
Yeah. Well, I have some more on my list.
Yeah, I've got one more. So tell me
okay.
One of yours.
No.
Do yours.
Okay.
You next.
Okay. So I also had the watermelon seeds, but in addition, swallowing gum was on there too. Yeah.
It's going to stay in there for 7 years.
Yeah.
It's a very precise amount of time too that they try to tell you. 7 years.
I remember 7 years.
Yeah, it's going to sit in there for 7 years. I'm like, no, it's not. Now that I've done some education, I'm like, no, you're just going to poop it out.
Yeah, in about what?
Less
9
than
to 12 hours,
yeah.
Something like that. Less time if you go run a marathon or swim 112 miles.
You really, really feel strongly that this poop is moved along by exercise. You think you poop more because you exercise? Some doctor tell us. Again, it's Erin at nodirectionpodcast.com. So do you poop more from the movement? Do you think it's just like moving things through your digestive system faster?
I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know
I
this.
know the more intense my workout is, the more likely it is that I have to go to the bathroom, and it's always an emergency. Like it's always like, I gotta go, and you have to run. And I cannot tell
Do
you.
you still have your gallbladder? Is that...
Yes.
Okay. I was like, maybe, have you had something removed that causes this? Because I don't have this experience.
And I can't tell you how often. So doing Hood to Coast every year, like poop is one of the things that we talk about constantly. Did you poop? Do you need to go poop? You're about to run. Do you have to go to the bathroom? Like, constantly
Wow,
talking
so this
about
is not just you. Is it
No.
runners? Because I don't run. Again, no tigers are chasing me. I don't have a reason to
It's
run.
possible. I don't know if it's just a runner's thing. But I mean, there's always toilets along the
Runners,
way.
let us know. Do you just shit all the time?
Just is that how you feel
Maybe
yourself?
is that why I am one, like I don't, like I am a once a day if that kind of gal, or
Right.
maybe twice a week sometimes, and I'm perfectly comfortable.
Twice a week?
Yeah, I'm perfectly
Holy
comfortable
cow.
with my
I can't
poop
imagine.
schedule.
Okay.
I feel like I could go like skip down the road. I feel pretty happy after that. But
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
like this frequency thing that people deal with. They're like, really? That is so much time. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it
Maybe
is.
I need to start running. I'll poop more.
No, well, nobody's
That's a
chasing
joke. I
you,
won't
so I
do
don't
it.
think you would
No
do it.
one's chasing me.
Nobody's chasing you. Permanent records.
Permanent. Oh, yeah. That's going to go
This
on your
is going to go on your
record.
permanent record.
Yeah, especially for school stuff. I'm sorry. The number of referrals I got for insubordination that no one has asked me about since.
Right.
Now, I know, I think they try to scare you with that one. These days especially, there's a lot that goes into getting into a good college. And also, that's a complete myth. You do not need that 4-year degree to be a successful human in life. And I think especially at our children's age, it is
If
being
you choose you want to go to
drilled into
college, more power to you. Go for it.
Yeah.
But there are other paths that people can take
There
to
are
be
a lot
successful.
of options.
I mean, you and
when
I both
yeah.
took those paths, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so
I went a
you're a
different route.
massage therapist,
I
so
did
you went to a
vocational school.
specially vocational school. I went to a 2-year university, found out about 15 years after I left there that I actually earned my associate's degree. And all I have to do is apply for graduation. So somewhere someone forgot to tell me that. But I don't want to pay to apply for my associates.
whatever.
I'm like, I can give two shits.
I probably have my associates, the number of classes I've taken, but yeah, they're all disjointed. And because I've had a couple of times where I was like, I'm going to go do something, and I went back to college. So I've gone back to college a couple of times, but nothing has ever sparked. It's a terrible spark joy. It doesn't spark joy. Like going off and getting a quote unquote real job does not spark joy to me. I did some management. I've done some other things. Working for someone else and not having my autonomy does not work for me.
Right. And I've dabbled. I've done both. I've worked for myself and I've worked for other people. And I worked for a very large company, and I was an admin to a vice president, and I'd been there just under 10 years, and they eliminated her position. And when they eliminated her position, they no longer needed an admin for that position, so I went as well. And when that happened, I vowed that I would never let somebody be in control of when I can and cannot work. And then, so I started my own business, and then COVID happened, so I, out of necessity, had to go get a job. And so I had to slowly build my business back up, and now I just finally got to the point post-COVID where I was able to leave my last employer and pursue, working for myself, which is amazing, and I love it. And there's some people who really enjoy working for somebody else, and then there's people who find it very hard to do that because there's, for me, it's a schedule thing. I want to be able to go and have coffee with this person when I want to, or go work on this job when I want to, or go across town, or go on vacation, or whatever it is. I want the freedom of choice.
Yeah, and I think for me, being told, no, I can't go on a vacation or take time off to spend with my children over Christmas break, that doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. Maybe when my children are older, And I had an employer before. I had a really amazing job that I probably shouldn't have left, but we don't talk about our regrets. We just stuff them way down.
Yeah, we just move forward.
Move forward, onward and upward. And then I went somewhere else that, there are employers who are great employers. And I plan to be that person someday, is all I'm going to say. I worked for someone that was great and a good employer. And if your kids were sick and you had to stay home, they would text 3 hours later and go, "How are the kids?"
Nice.
Are you okay? Do you need anything?
Those are hard employers to find.
And then you have the employers who are like, "No, you can't stay home for Christmas break with your kids." And so I'm going to be the former, not the latter.
Right.
And that is my goal, is because I have worked in some situations where I felt so disrespected and so undervalued for the amount of money that I knew I was bringing in, that you just go, I don't want to do this anymore. And so when I was I like to use the word gifted, but forced back into business for myself post-COVID. I'm like, it's a gift. A gift that really pissed me off for about a month and a half, but we're over it. I just am like, I don't ever want somebody to tell me no.
Right.
Especially when it comes to my time with my family and my children. It just makes me viscerally upset.
Right.
And I think that you can't sit here and say that we're a country, this gets bigger every time as I keep going, that values the American family. You're like, oh, we like family values. I'm like, do you? Do you? Because there's nothing in place that says that you're going to reimburse these small businesses, and these small businesses feel forced and compelled to not give their employees time off. And the living wage is such where they can't afford to take unpaid time off. So are you valuing the American family?
Right.
Do you value the family system? I don't think so.
No, we're so far behind in that. If you look at other countries and the benefits they get when they go to work. And the hours that they work, we work ourselves to death.
Or the maternal and paternal family leave. So I know that there are countries that the mother gets paid by the government, not the business, or it's a combination thereof, depending on where you're at, for a year after they have that baby. Because one, you have the physical healing. We can go back to the stretch marks and hemorrhoids if you want.
Right. But those are minimal.
Those are
compared to everything else, the physical and emotional.
The physical and emotional change that you go through becoming a mother and learning to care for this being fully and completely. And then they also will allow, in a lot of places, paternal leave, where they get maybe not the full year. I think some of them do, but don't quote me on that. But, I know some places do at least 3 months.
Right. You can do some bonding with the new
baby,
help the mom.
Help your wife out after she's gone through what you can only describe as a traumatic experience, no matter how wonderful you view the experience. Your body just went through trauma.
Right. And any other time you go through trauma, like let's say a car accident, for instance.
Yeah.
Let's say you have work. Yeah, you take a few weeks off at work. Everybody understands. They cater to you. They're like, oh my God, what can I do for you? Can I bring you a meal? I know you're probably not up to cooking. I know that had to have been a mental strain on you. How scary. And then you go to have a baby. Yes, I get that it's 99% of the time it's their choice that they want to have the baby, and it's a beautiful thing. But there needs to be some sort of compassion mindset for the mother who's having this child, because it is so traumatic on the body.
Quote-unquote maternity leave for a small business. Maternity leave is unpaid 4 weeks off if you have a vaginal delivery and 6 weeks for a C-section. Now, I've never had a C-section, and you tell me that you were ready to go back to work 6 weeks after your C-section.
I've had 2 C-sections, and I would say no.
And
I mean, they fillet you open.
Yeah.
They cut through all of your stomach tissue and your muscles and pull a human out of you.
Yeah, and then at most child care facilities won't take an infant under 6 weeks anyway.
Correct.
So you squirt a baby out the quote-unquote normal way, and you have to go back to work before a child care facility would even accept your child to be there.
Right.
And do you want to argue about the germs that 4-week-old infant would be exposed to that they're just not ready for?
Right. Yep.
So, I don't know. Obviously a topic that I get a little a
little passionate about. But no, it's good. It's a good topic, because I truly believe the United States is really far behind on family medical leave. We work ourselves to death. So this whole
hours.
8 a.m. to 5 p.m. thing is bullshit. I I travel not frequently, but I travel enough to know that going to other countries, you try to do any sort of business with anybody during siesta time and forget it. You're supposed to be at home, relaxing, chilling out at a park, hanging out with your family during that time. And then you come back later after you've had an opportunity to rest and decompress, do a little bit more work, and then, go have time with your family.
Yeah. We get 30-minute lunch breaks, and then we get to have what we call the afternoon slump and power through it with more caffeine because we're American.
Yes, and we can do it. We're strong. That's how we were built.
Yes,
it's ridiculous.
I do it. Am I strong enough? I don't know. I think it's just something we're conditioned for.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And we do it to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like even our clients. So you have to train your clients to communicate with you during what you propose are your business hours, right? And you have to keep those. It's kind of like you have to make sure that you ride within those guide rails. So when you're writing emails to people, it's like don't go outside of those guidelines that you have created to train your clients, because now they'll say, oh, you're emailing me at 1 a.m. Clearly you're working. I'm going to start, bugging you outside of these business hours.
Because you'll respond.
Right.
And I have a filter set up on my phone to help me because I will respond.
Yes.
Because I am a responsive person, because I want to be on top of it. If my client has a question, I want to let them know.
When you can be available. But sometimes you can't be available and they still expect it.
Yeah. So that's the boundary that I'm trying to put in place for myself, and the expectation I'm trying to put forward is I will respond during business hours, because while today I may be able to respond at 11 p.m., on some other day I might be at a concert or otherwise occupied. It might be my anniversary.
Or sleeping.
Yeah.
Or that thing.
I don't know what that means. I'm a very well known. My husband calls me a sleep princess. I have to have certain conditions, and I don't sleep well even under those conditions. So I just don't get enough sleep. I'm chronically underslept, which means I'm chronically addicted to caffeine, which brings me to my last one, is that we are going to have our growth stunted.
Oh, from caffeine.
From caffeine. It was always told to me that I was not going to be tall enough. I'm a 5'7", which is girl tall in the world.
Yes, it is.
It's girl tall.
You're 3 inches taller than I am.
3 inches taller than the average woman. I believe the average is 5'4". You can correct us if we're wrong at Erin at
NoDirectionPodcast.com.
But yeah, so I'm girl tall. I'm generally one of the taller women in the room.
Yeah.
But yeah,
right.
I was going to have my growth stunted because I used to go to Denny's. Do they have Denny's here? Was Denny's a thing?
Yes. They
I grew up in Washington. So I
don't know if they've ever had any in Gresham, but they have one in Portland.
Yeah, so there was a Denny's, and we would go sit there and because you could buy a cup of coffee for $1.50, and then we would stay there for hours and just basically irritate the wait staff. But it was a place to hang out that wasn't anyone's house, where we could swear and kind of be teenagers. And
so for us, it was Sherry's because it was 24 hours.
Yeah, same thing.
And you had everybody at the table had to order something.
So it was coffee.
And you could only stay for a certain amount of time.
Oh, see, they wouldn't kick us out. And I think that was because at a certain point, we were there so frequently, the cooks would come out from the back and sit and have their breaks with us.
Oh, gotcha. So they got to know you guys.
Yeah, because we were there so frequently. Yeah. And we would take up the least desirable booth. We would always get the one back by the wait staff station.
Yeah. Or the smoking area. Remember the smoking areas?
Yes, there was a smoking area. And we would smoke in there. Yeah. And every now and then, if the manager was there, the waitresses would be like, put those out because he's going to come over and tell you guys to leave. So, but at the late night hours when the manager wasn't there, we would sit there and smoke cigarettes. How terrible. We're just... It's the most rebellious thing.
Shame on you.
I was so rebellious. I smoked cigarettes. Hope my dad doesn't hear this. Dad, I never smoke. I swear.
No.
But yeah, that was probably more likely to stunt my growth than anything. But yeah, the coffee and
I wonder where the coffee thing came from. Because like back in the day. So I sit on the board called Curtis Heritage Education Center, and we have over 100 horse-drawn vehicles in our collection. And I know, totally.
How many things do you? This is going to be the way that question was. How many things do you sit on? Like, That's not
Don't
what
tell
I mean.
anybody. Don't tell anybody. It's my
She
secret.
got her butt cheeks on all kinds of things.
I got my fingers in lots of pies. But
Oh, speaking of fingers, cracking knuckles. We can do that one too.
yeah. Let's do that one next. So, I know it's totally random. 100 horse-drawn vehicles. How the hell did I get involved in this? Story for a different day. But the Oregon curriculum for fourth graders includes learning about the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
And so we have created a field trip where we come to the grade schools and then we explain about some Oregon Trail facts. We bring an immigrant wagon, which actually came over on the Oregon Trail, and we teach them all kinds of things. And one of the things kids always drank on the Oregon Trail was coffee. They always drank coffee. So where did the coffee thing come from? Was it an 80s thing? Did it come from like the 60s? Like at what point in time was it not okay for kids to drink coffee?
Well, also ale, because like the reason that children, I mean, we drank ales and fermented drinks, I believe.
Well, because water was poison.
Because water, the fermentation killed the bacteria that were giving us dysentery, that were making us shit ourselves.
And we loved to drink downstream from the animals cleaning themselves.
Well, if you're downstream.
That was the best flavored water.
If you're downstream, something's dead in that stream.
They didn't have Mio back then.
No Mio, no, none of those little cute $3,000 Overlander water filter pumps that you can mount to the back of your $60,000, Toyota Tacoma.
Right.
But
or life straws.
The life straws. All the different things that we had to clean the water. So people were just dying because there's stuff in the water.
Yeah. So they always drank the alternative things.
Because boiling the water would kill the things, so children would drink coffee, and fermenting the water would kill the things, so we drank fermented things. But I want to say I saw the statistic that the ale that they were drinking was like 3%, where like our White Claws are 5 and our whiskeys are 40. Like they were drinking much more mild percentages. It's kind of like, remember weed in the 90s was like this skunky weed that really didn't get you high, and now you walk in there, they're like, this one's an 80%. You're going to meet your dead grandma. You're like, holy shit, I'm in space.
So
tried smoking weed when it became legal, and I was like, never again.
Well, and I only experienced weed after it was legal. I was just so paranoid that I'll get in trouble. Oh my God. I have, so right before my best friend's birthday party, everybody was drinking, and I had bariatric surgery a few years ago. And so I can't handle very much liquid or volume of food in my stomach. And so I choose to do weed when I go to parties, because then I can feel buzzed and kind of feel kind of loopy and fun and funny when I go to these things. Yeah. And so my husband's driving. I ate an entire edible before I went. Yeah, that's a lot. And I get there, and we're sitting outside. I've got my sunglasses on, and I'm sitting on a bench with no back. And the entire time I am at her party, I'm holding onto the bench, talking to myself, hoping I'm not talking out loud, thinking to myself, don't fall backwards, don't fall backwards, don't fall backwards, don't talk and be an idiot, don't talk and be an idiot, don't fall backwards, don't talk and be an idiot. Nobody knows you're high. Why are you still wearing your sunglasses? It's dark outside. I think you're hungry. You should go get some food. Don't get too much food. Everybody's going to know you're high. So the whole time I'm like this internal dialogue of somebody's going to find out when who really cares. It was an adult's birthday party, but I was just so freaking paranoid that everybody was going to like judge me or whatever. And they're all drinking and having fun, and nobody even realizes that I exist, right? Because I'm just sitting on this bench, kind of rocking a little bit back and forth.
Trying to will yourself into sobriety.
Yeah. And it's like,
which isn't going to happen when you're on the edible train.
It's like,
it has left the station.
It's dark. Take your sunglasses off. It's dark. No. Everybody's going to know you're high. Your eyes are dilated. No, don't do it.
Oh my God.
Never having a conversation with anybody else, just in my head the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, don't tell my dad. I did smoke a little weed.
I won't tell your dad.
Don't tell Dad.
What's his email?
Not telling you. So I did smoke a little weed, but in my early years, maybe once or twice, and I felt guilty because I was not necessarily what I would call I was insubordinate. I wasn't really a rule breaker when I was a kid, and so I felt so guilty about it. I just couldn't bring myself to do it all that much.
Sure.
But I don't ever remember being that high, and I decided when it became legal here in Oregon, I was like, well, it's a nice way to relax, and one of the things they did try to scare you of, again, we're going to go back to what did they try to scare the shit out of you? They tried to tell you that you were going to melt into the couch and your brain was going to turn into a scrambled egg just because you smoked a little pot, which just isn't true.
With a very aggressive cast iron pan. I don't know what
her name.
I don't know, but she was very aggressive.
She was very aggressive, and she was in some movies I really liked at that age too. Again, we're gonna go back to I don't know actress names.
Was it the girl from She's All That? No, different person.
Was it
right?
She's All That?
No,
it wasn't the Heath Ledger one. The I love you, baby. Remember that Heath Ledger on the bleachers? No?
Yes.
Okay.
That is. What is that?
10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
I
love
so
that
it wasn't
movie.
that one, but she was in the red dress, and it was that same era.
I think it's
and
She's
she was
All
a
That.
nerd, and then she got the
She's All
haircut.
That.
Yeah, that girl, and she
with
smashed
Freddie
it.
Prinze Jr. doing the stupid. He did the hacky sack poem. Hacky sack.
Hacky
sack. I'm like, what is happening? You're really cute, but nobody likes what you're saying right now.
Yeah, well,
that guy did not age well.
Oof, that's unfortunate. I haven't seen him.
Yeah,
but
he's in a newer thing. I think one of those
did he
like
marry
Netflix
Sarah
Michelle
Gellar?
Gellar. I think so. I feel like it was a thing.
Yeah, like he married Buffy. We were all like, oh,
yeah,
like that's like the couple right there.
Right. Yeah, the power couple.
Yeah. I forgot what I was talking about.
You were smoking weed. And,
Oh,
yeah. You're like,
I didn't.
Where do we go?
We went somewhere. Oh,
yeah.
So
because it wasn't that bad. It was the gateway drug because what they wanted to do is it was a war on drugs, but really what it was a war on black people in the ghetto, and they wanted more reasons to be able to go there and arrest people.
It is. I think weed was really it's an excuse, and I can go a little bit deeper. On hemp and marijuana plants. It's actually started with cotton. This is a whole report I did in high school, and some of this information might change. You guys can email Erin angrily.
Yeah, but, just be angry all the time. People are always angry.
They outlawed hemp because the cotton industry wanted to corner the market and monopolize linen. Because you can out of hemp plants. Not necessarily the flowering ones that make marijuana, but hemp plants make a very strong, very durable cloth.
And don't they grow faster? I feel
like
they grow faster,
and they're naturally pest resistant. So a lot of the pesticides and Roundup that they use to keep our cotton healthy actually wouldn't be necessary. We wouldn't be poisoning our planet if we would just go back to growing hemp. It grows faster, better, stronger. It's like the Olympic athlete of fiber producing plants.
Right.
And it would be a lot better for us, and it lasts longer. It's just stronger. There's no bad quality about growing hemp and using it to make your clothes.
There's always a reason for things, right? The whole war on drugs. There's way deeper, darker,
dark. Again, reasons to go into the ghetto and arrest people. And against black people, it's a class war.
Yeah.
You're poor, I'm rich, I control you.
Right, and I can oppress you.
I can oppress you. It's really deep-rooted in America. And
meanwhile, in Portland, all drugs are legal.
All drugs are legal. But so hemp versus cotton, and cotton won, and marijuana versus tobacco, and tobacco won. So there are some rich people, again, going after farmers who are like, well, I found this thing where I don't have to buy a ton of pesticides. And so it's rich man versus poor man, and it always has been.
Have you ever seen the movie Thank You for Smoking?
I don't know. I probably have, but
I can't remember what year it came out. I want to say it was late 90s, early 2000s when it came out, and it had Aaron Eckhart was in it. And he is I think, if I remember right, I've only seen it once. I think he's a lobbyist for the tobacco company, I believe.
Yeah.
And so go watch it. It's insane. And they go through and they talk to people who were like tobacco industry spokespeople, like these actors and things who have died, and they've kind of covered those reasons why they've died up, and they give you a whole bunch of money, to cover all these things, and tobacco is really bad for you.
Well, and I will go so far as to say anything that you're smoking, the smoke, the heat that you are inhaling into your lungs, it's all bad. It's all a carcinogen. You shouldn't be inhaling those types of things. All of it is going to give you cancer. People running around thinking, I'm going to smoke weed and I'm not going to. Yes, you are. You're inhaling things that your body was never meant to ingest. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
You're not supposed to breathe in smoke, dumbass.
Plus,
Like,
it smells real bad.
all the things.
Both of them
Both
smell
of them.
so terrible.
And I'm going to call you people out. If you're smoking anything and then you come into an appointment, be that your hairdresser, nail tech, doctor's office, massage therapist, all of us.
Coffee date.
We're sitting across the table from you or in the
Dying.
room with you, dying because that smell. Like, come on, it's cigarettes or weed. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, we know.
Yeah, and if it's been wet, so if it's either raining or you are sweaty, so much worse.
I'm gonna say, okay, this is
so bad.
A massage therapist thing, and I've talked to other massage therapists about this before. You can come in actually completely free of scent. You came in, you didn't smoke a cigarette, you took a shower, you got there. When I get to your smoker's hand, everybody's got a hand. When I put the lotion on it, for some reason, it just reactivates it. It smells like almost like burnt peanut butter.
Oh,
Like on the smoking hand.
Yeah.
You get down, you're like massaging their hand. You're like, oh, it's a smoker. Like you just like even if they come in.
wow!
Very
It just kind of
hygienically,
comes out of
it's
their
like
pores.
it's on their skin from the tobacco, and you're just like, oh, it's a smoker. They use their left hand or they use their right hand. It's really weird. And I didn't like put it together. It took me years. I've been doing this for a long time. It took me years to be like, what?
Yeah.
It's going on. Like, why does this keep
Is
happening?
that like a
Different
reflexology
people?
thing where it's like coming out because you've
Well, it's
touched
just the
certain
tar
pressure
on the,
points?
Well, it's just the tar on the skin.
Oh,
like,
okay.
You're not going to get it completely off. If you're smoking, let's say a half 6 cigarettes a day,
Right.
like that's just
It'll
coating
take time
your
for
skin
your
to wash it
skin
off.
to
Yeah.
flake or die and
Yeah.
reproduce or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because we all produce our dander, our flaky skin. It all comes off. We're shedding constantly.
Ugh.
That's all the dust in your house is your skin.
Yeah, it's gross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and my mom and dad, they have a parrot, and it
Ew.
produces a lot of dander, and so their house is
Extra dusty.
extra, like,
Go back to my least favorite chore, the dog hair in my house. I have a German Shepherd, and he's 6, and I love him, and I look forward to his long life, and I know that for at least as long as he is alive in my house, I will continue to find his hair for that long after, because it's just so into every nook and cranny. When I wiped down the bathroom, you had to like take everything out of the drawers because the hair's in there, and he doesn't even spend that much time in there.
No. Yeah, the hair gets everywhere. And then you can go through the entire house and clean it. And the next day there'll be a, what's it called? Those tumbleweed, thank you, of dog hair
when you
going
walk
down the hallway.
The walls will breathe. Like they just move just at the
Yes.
edges. You're like, it's not a spider, it's dog hair.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how clean you keep your house. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Is there anything else?
I don't know.
Not like I'm looking at my list.
Well, I'm really interested in getting, not fan mail. I don't want to call it fan mail. You're not my fans. But like mail from people who are listener mail. We'll call it listener mail. Because what I would love to do is I want to do 2 episodes a week. I want to do a full-length episode on Tuesdays and then a shorter episode on like Thursdays where I read stories that people have written in. So stories, it could be crazy things that have happened to you that nobody would believe you. It could be something that you saw that is unbelievable. So like maybe you saw an alien, or maybe you're one of the rare people who actually saw Bigfoot or whatever, a special skill that you might have, or maybe you have a childhood thing that your parents always told you that we didn't cover today that you want to tell us about and kind of where that came from.
Well, yeah, anything thought-provoking that you got from the episode, just email that in.
Yes.
And then you can go either solo or bring someone back in and just talk about whatever it was that was missed. I know we're missing things. I have a big, long list here, but I also...
Yeah, I have a
this
big
goes
list
back
too.
to my OCD, is I wrote everything in the wrong color. So I'm not in love with what I wrote down.
Right, yeah.
Because it's the wrong color. Right. But it was the pen I could find at the time.
Well, and the last one I have is high school GPA.
Oh,
and how much that would affect you in your life. So that was one thing that was constantly beat into you.
I think it's important if you're going to college.
Absolutely. Yep. If your path is college, then your high school GPA, not your middle school.
Not middle school.
Middle
Stop
school.
Focusing on middle school.
Spoiler alert, you could squeak through middle school. They'll still pass you through because no child left behind.
Well,
You don't actually fail. You don't actually fail. as long as you don't
Don't
have
tell your kids this. This is the lie that I support.
Well-
Don't tell your kids they're allowed to fail.
My kid found it
nature.
out because he was failing, like the 6th grade or something. And they said they wouldn't hold him back unless he had a learning disability. And so they're like, push him on through. I was like, that's
that's
a
not
bad
fair.
choice. That's a bad choice.
That's not fair. Yeah, to him because he probably should have repeated some things or
Right.
or got
Well,
some
and he was-
tutoring. He's probably just distractible young lad.
He was, well, yeah. I mean, we should
ADD is
definitely be
genetic.
educating boys a little bit differently than girls. However, ADD and ADHD in girls shows up very differently than it does in boys. And nobody recognizes that. And I've learned as an adult, I have self-diagnosed myself by watching Reels and TikTok, because that's where I get all of my medical advice, that I most likely have ADD or ADHD, 100%.
I went to, and I've told you this story, but I went to the doctor mid-COVID. I was having a struggle. I was like, I am so sad. I can't even. And I just couldn't figure it out, like why I just felt so out of control. And like I would get home. I did not get laid off during COVID. I still had to go to work. And I would come home and like I couldn't manage my home. Like I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm a very organized person. And I just couldn't. When I got home, I could give it all at work and I would get home. So I was like, this is depression. This is what people are talking about. And I went to my doctor and she was like, here's a bunch of things I want you to fill out. Let's decide if we're going to do medication. What are we going to do about this? We talked for a little bit. Of course, life is stressful. It's COVID. I've got 3 kids in 3 different schools, remote learning. I've got an elementary, a middle, and a high schooler, remote learning at my house. My husband got sent home to work from home. So everybody is on computers. The house is a wreck. The screen time is out of control. The children, by the time I get home, are so done being told to be quiet that they're just a wreck.
Crazy.
They're insane.
They miss their friends.
They missed their friends. All the things were happening. And so my doctor had me fill out some surveys and was like, we're going to decide what we're going to do about this. And she had me come back for a visit after I did all of that. And she was like, so I understand that you're feeling sad. She's like, the entire world is with you on that one. But good news, bad news, it's not depression. And I was like, I don't know what that means. She was like, you have ADD and OCD. And I was like, that can't be true because my house is a mess. And she's like, that's not what OCD is. And my mind was blown. It can be that you need your space to be neat as a pin all the time. But more than likely, it's that I cry if the towels aren't folded correctly.
Okay.
And that I can't let someone else fold them if I don't trust that they will fold them correctly because they have to be folded the right way.
And it's a hyper focus on certain things.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that
the
what it
way
is?
things need to be done. That it has to be done that way. And it's not, and I thought, well, that's not everything because I don't like care about a lot of stuff. I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm really relaxed. And when I got to talking to my husband about that, he said, that is not true. Like you,
Let me give you a list. These
he's
are the
like,
things.
no. He's like, I know that, and he's like, it makes a lot more sense to him now also. But then also my, the way that I learned, because I was never diagnosed with ADD as a young kid, and I was held back in 2nd grade because there are certain things I couldn't focus on, and they decided that was the correct route. I will tell you right now it was not. But that's neither here nor there. They just didn't pay attention because girls don't present. I would get so overwhelmed and so overstimulated that when I would go home from school into all the way up into middle school, I would go to my room immediately after school and take a nap.
Yeah. I took so many naps.
So many naps because I was just overstimulated.
Or go just watch TV. Just
that
tune out.
wasn't available to me. But like my mom ran a daycare and there were only certain TV times and I couldn't just go turn the TV
that
on.
makes sense.
Because it wasn't appropriate for the kids. There was one TV in the house. Like it wasn't like today.
Yeah.
Where everybody has their own laptop, Switch, iPad,
Yes.
you can just go zone out. So I would put myself down for a nap. And my mom always thought like, oh, she's such a calm child. She said I'd done that my whole life. I just put myself down for a nap. And I still do it as an adult. Sometimes I come home so especially on days now that I have my business where I've networked and I've gone out and I am an extroverted person, but I come home and it's like zombie land. I have to I'm like, oh,
You gotta recharge your batteries.
I gotta recharge that
Yeah.
battery.
I feel like you're more of an introverted extrovert.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, yes, I'm going to diagnose you right now because I'm qualified for that.
Yeah.
That's what I am. So when I get into a group or a setting where I need to be outgoing,
Yeah.
100%, I can play the role.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm pretending. And so when I'm outside of that arena and I'm back and it's just me or the people who I'm comfortable with, I am so overwhelmed and exhausted from just having put on a show. So I don't know if I'm naturally an extrovert. I feel like I force myself to do the thing. Whereas I feel like a true extrovert would just do it all the time and not necessarily get overwhelmed and tired afterwards. So like my introverted friends, they get tired and overwhelmed just by being around people.
Well, I have an introverted husband who gets tired even at the thought of leaving the house.
Right. And he's like, no, it's overwhelmed. I can't do it.
But when I get him there, he is seriously one of the funniest and most.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what introverted extrovert is. I don't know.
Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe
I
we're
am not
extroverted.
an expert.
And maybe
I just have
an
a platform.
an extroverted introvert versus an introverted extrovert. So
Okay.
I feel like everybody's a combination. Nobody
Sure.
wants to be around people all the time. But yeah,
you're right.
overstimulated, and then it'll go from either it's a nap or there will be like almost an anger response to the overstimulation. And all of those things, as it turns out, are not what a lot of people experience. A lot of people don't have their the dog barking, the kids are chewing with their mouth open, the TV's on, the radio's on, there's all these things happening. They don't short circuit. They will just walk over and turn the TV off and ask their kid to close their mouth. They don't get angry. They just handle it and move on. And it doesn't create that visceral response that some other people would experience.
Right.
Where
I short circuit.
Yeah, they don't short circuit from that stimulus.
Not every time.
Not every time.
There are times that I'm I can't with the things.
I self-taught. The fact that after my conversations with my provider, the fact that I successfully run my own business and have successfully ran other people's much larger businesses, and no one ever said to me that I had probably some things I could use medication or treatment for. I still do choose to not medicate. I just have a lot of paranoia, right? It's kind of surrounding the pharmaceutical industry.
I don't want it to change me.
Yeah,
I am who I am. I like who I am. It took me a long time to get to that point, to like who I am. Yeah. And so, I don't want medication. I want to learn how to work with it.
Yeah, and I did try medication, and it was either numbing or I just felt like there was something. I just felt not as creative.
Right.
Like I was just like this drone. I was just kind of roboting through life. And yes, my little list, all the boxes were getting checked, but there was it would just dulled off. I was like, I would rather have my highs and lows. Yeah. And maybe have a few frazzled days and do some work on when I short circuit. Don't yell at people. I am a mostly recovered yeller. Mostly.
And maybe that's because your kids are older now.
Well, yeah.
Well, and you're older now too.
I'm older now too,
there's a lot of learning that comes with life.
There's a phrase that I heard from the University of TikTok, something about as we get older and we're parenting our children, we reparent ourselves a little bit too. And so you kind of learn, and I was like, that's a good way to put it. There are tools my parents just didn't have in their belt, and I have no expectation that they should have. I know their history and that they're boomers. They were raised a lot differently than we were. It was sit down, shut up. Right. Your feelings were not discussed. And so there was a lot of that in my childhood as well, but they were better than their parents. I hope I am better than them, and I hope my children can do better than me.
Right. Yeah.
And I hope they don't resent me too hard for all the ways I fail, but
for all the times of all the yelling for
the yelling because the dog
seemingly
barked.
no reason.
Yeah, the dog's barking like ah.
Stop the things.
Stop all the noises. But in recognizing too, ADD and things like that, if you're sitting there thinking, oh, my kid has ADD, you or your partner that created that child probably has it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're sitting there looking at your kid going, where did that come from? Maybe hold up a mirror.
Right.
Like investigate yourself a little bit.
Is it genetic?
That's what they're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
Is that it's coming from somewhere.
Right.
And the idea that 2 out of 3 of my brothers were diagnosed and then I was just passed over because I would just go take a nap. I didn't go.
It shows up different.
Spin in circles and chase the dog. I was like, I'm going to disappear.
Yeah. I'm going to go hide.
Go make yourself smaller so nobody notices.
Yes. Yeah.
Also,
that's interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming out here today and spending your time with me and away from your office. So I really appreciate you. And if anybody listening would like to either be on the show or would like to submit a letter, you can email me at Erin@nodirectionpodcast.com, I believe, or Erin@the-nodirectionpodcast.com.
Do you want to look it up?
It's one of the, okay. Yeah,
look
sure.
it up and read
your
outro.
Okay, let's see. Let's look it up. We'll do this.
You can
live.
redo your outro.
Yeah.
This isn't live. You can edit it.
What am I? Who am I? Where am I?
You know how long it took me to memorize my new office phone number?
Probably a while.
Oh my God. I keep having to look it up before I leave messages. I have it written down in front of me. I'm like, oh my God.
And I'm in this like weird black hole. Okay. All right. So if anybody listening wants to write me an email because they want to be on the show or they want to submit a letter, something where they're sharing cool things that have happened in their life that nobody gets. Maybe something happened when you were a child and you want to share a story, or perhaps you have one of those. I thought more of this would happen when I grow up, just like we talked about on this show today. You can email me at Erin@nodirectionpodcast.com. And I would love to start making episodes where I just read the mail that comes in, good, bad, or different, and make an entire second podcast per week about that. So thank you, Alta, for being here today. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for having me.
And we will see you guys next week.